Gates, president of the Chicago Teachers Union. She was recently elected the president of the Illinois Federation of Teachers. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you so much for being here. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm a high school history teacher who's a mother of three. Sometimes I say four, don't tell my husband, because sometimes I count him. But I'm a Southsider. Like many other Chicagoans, my family left Mississippi, Sunflower County, in fact, and traveled up north to escape the fascism of Jim Crow. They wanted opportunity for themselves and they wanted opportunity for their children. And so they trekked up north. Like many other families, my grandfather found work in the industrial setting. He worked for auto factories. He worked for steel mills. And so that's how I get here, right? But beyond getting here, I'm a teacher. I wanted to become a teacher because I think that our young people hold a tremendous amount of promise. And my whole professional life has been dedicated to making sure that they are given priority, that they're given advocacy, and that they are resourced, nurtured, and loved in the way that they should be.
Talk to me about your journey from educator to the president of the Chicago Teachers Union.
That's a good question. You're going to make me think about my life. My journey, look, I think I was forced into this, to be perfectly honest with you. In 2005, in the Lorraine Hansberry Theater at Inglewood Tech Prep High School, Arnie Duncan came in and told us he was closing our school. And it didn't seem fair. It didn't seem just. And so that actually instigated this process that lands me here as president of the Illinois Federation of Teachers and the Chicago Teachers Union. Because it was the only vehicle that we had as educators and people who love black children to like push this forward and to make it work. Because the little known fact about when you close schools in a segregated city that serve majority black students, you're also going to fire black principals, you're also going to fire black educators and paraprofessionals too. So it was an assault on the black community, and I just felt like my duty as an educator who loves young people and as a black person who loves us was to be a part of that fight. At the time, the union was the vehicle offering that type of fight, amplification, and so here we are.
How has the landscape of education and teaching changed since you first stepped into a classroom?
I think it's changed significantly because young people are changing. They're way smarter than any other groups of young people that have come before them. And conversely, they are inundated with information that they don't know how to sift through and put into its proper place. Media literacy is huge right now in many of our classrooms in our school communities because of the disinformation that AI and other media tends to amplify and promote. And this is happening at the same time that the right wing is attacking libraries, throwing certain books out of it. And it also exists at a time where the Chicago Public Schools doesn't have libraries, school libraries in every single school. A part of our contract settlement this year is to begin the process of rebuilding. And we are beginning the process of rebuilding in schools that have been historically disinvested in. So those are black schools in Chicago, obviously. So our contract gives us an opportunity to rebuild and reimagine what a media center looks like in Chicago in 2025.
What is it that you wish people knew about the Chicago Teachers Union?
I don't know if it's what I wish that they knew about us. I think that we're pretty well covered. I wish for people to find their voice. I wish for people to find their sense of offense. So like right now here in the city of Chicago, we're having this debate, this over-amplified debate about a city budget. What we're not celebrating is that the mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson, is going to surplus, basically give $1 billion to schools, to parks, and to libraries. Never in the history of this city has $1 billion at one time been given to those three entities. That's the work of right now. So in a city where a teacher's contract is rebuilding school libraries, you also have a middle school teacher that is funneling more into those public goods. What I would wish is that we celebrate that and conversely fight for it, right? Alderman Hopkins of the Second World doesn't want black children in downtown Chicago. So he continues to create ordinances to direct black children to stay away. At the same time, he and other aldermen are saying that black youth don't need summer jobs. So our union is at the precipice of this fight for young people. We need for them to have jobs because what it does for us in the classroom is that it creates a better capacity for us to connect the real world dots for our young people because they're actually engaging in the real world, right? And many of them will be engaging on entry-level jobs. You don't have to compel a kid who doesn't want to work in an entry-level job to go to college if they're having that experience. What that kid is going to come back and tell you is, yo, Ms. Davis, I need some help because I'm going to college because I'm not going to be working in this job. What we need to do is create capacity for kids, young people, to have more of those experiences so we can help them envision what they can't really see right now. These experiences that are being offered to them in this moment, in this time in city government, are going to be the conduits under which we get them to dream a little bigger, to see a little brighter, and to actually consent to being a part of their own advocacy and their own maturation.
Congratulations on being elected president of the Illinois Federation of Teachers. For those not familiar with the organization, tell us what it is and how its work benefits educators across the state of Illinois.
Great question. The Illinois Federation of Teachers is our umbrella, if you will, for all of the teacher union locals throughout the state of Illinois. And we are the largest union in the AFL-CIO. We have over 100,000 members throughout the state of Illinois. And what the Illinois Federation of Teachers allows for is this choir, if you will, of people who are having very similar experiences everywhere in this world, at least everywhere in Illinois. People often try to regionalize what Chicago needs versus what another part of the state needs. I think that's always been wrong. Young people everywhere need educators who are well equipped to meet their needs. So they need special education teachers in Cahokia in the same way that they need in Chicago. And being the president of the Illinois Federation of Teachers gives me the opportunity to help other people connect those dots, to see that this fight is about our governor actually funding our schools as per state statute. As you know, if you wrap up Chicago public schools, Rockford public schools, and Elgin public schools, the state of Illinois owes all three of those school districts $2 billion right now. And how do we live in a space of where we're always critiquing and tweaking young people, but we're not giving them the access, the supports, and the resources that they need in order to become what we so desperately need them to become right now? And so the Illinois Federation of Teachers allows us to narrate our own story. It allows us to break down the walls of geography and race and all of the other things that people try to give us as a reason that our solidarity can't be strong, tight, or powerful. I think that's what the Illinois Federation of Teachers gives way to. There are black kids all across Illinois. We can fight for them. There are special education students all across Illinois. We can fight for them. It gives us a bigger capacity to do good work.
Why is it so important for you to advocate not only for the educators in Chicago, but now also advocate for the educators across the state of Illinois?
Great question again, you're good. Sally Hill, she was my supervisor at Clemente. And Sally Hill, at the beginning of the year, would come into our classroom with our roster, and the roster would have their home phone numbers and their parent and or guardian number. And she would say, you got to call these people. You have to call these people, and you have to welcome them to the upcoming school year. Because the only reason why you're here is because they need you to be here. But if those young people aren't here, then you're not here either. What Mrs. Hill did for me in that moment is that she helped me understand that this is a connected community, that this community is dependent upon each other. And that's what a school is a school community. I can't fight for teachers and leave the people that the teachers are fighting for every single moment of that day on the curb. The fight is for the community of individuals that are in that school. And that's why we call it a school community. And that's why it's important to anchor our work in young people. Because if we're anchoring our work in those who need justice, those who need equity, those who need a smaller class size, a physical education class, a gymnasium that is renovated, all of the things that they need, we need too, because we're in community with one another. So saying that we're fighting for the community, I think is the best way of doing solidarity, because you just don't get the people who pay dues. You get the people who need the teachers. You get the families who depend and trust them, and you build community from that perspective. And this is about community building. Schools, if you think about one of the first social studies lessons you received as a student, it was probably in kindergarten. And that first lesson was defining community, identifying community, identifying the institutions and how they're connected in that community. And I believe that that's our work as unionists.
Where can people go to find out more about the Chicago Teachers Union and the Illinois Federation of Teachers?
Well, we're very active on social media. So IG, TikTok, even Facebook, if you're an old person like me. All of those spaces are readily available to learn that. We also have websites, aft.org, so you can find out about the Illinois Federation of Teachers, and there's social media there, and CTU, local1.org as well. And then talk to your teacher. Everyone in Chicago knows someone who works for the Chicago Public Schools. Everyone in Chicago knows someone who was educated in the Chicago Public Schools. It is a rich history. It is a rich community to have most everyone you know have either an experience as a young person or an experience as a professional in the Chicago Public Schools. We actually have to love on CPS a little more because of how it connects us, how it is necessary for this city. And so ask a teacher, ask a school clerk, ask a TA, ask a school psychologist or a speech pathologist. Engage them on their school community and what's happening. It's the best way to understand and engage them on advocacy. Right now, we want people to vote for Mayor Johnson's budget. It is a budget that gives more to schools, it gives more to park districts, it gives more to the things that all of our young people need and our educators depend on. And by the way, we live in this city as well.
Before we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like our audience to know?
That we're accessible and that we're members of the community, and we want to even be bigger members of the community. It is important to know that educators, after they leave their classrooms, are also figuring out how to make a way for their students. So we get fair funding from the state of Illinois. They'll be on buses from January to May, going to Springfield, talking to their state reps, their state senators, challenging our Governor Pritzker to be there for them. Look, it's hard for everyone right now. Medicaid reimbursements to schools are going to become doggone non-existent. We don't have the same types of guardrails around making sure that our special education students receive their services. We need each other. We're in a time of crisis. You have a federal government that is dismantling all that we have earned over time, all that we have built up over time. And so we're going to need the community of educators, of students, of their families, all of our families in Chicago and Springfield saying a couple of things. One, we know you're not the federal government, but as a state government, you get to do a little more. And we're going to be asking for them to do more, and we're going to ask our partners in this group project of democracy to do that. It's not just the people in the neighborhoods, it's also the people in the skyscrapers, downtown. We need more of their sweat equity, more of their participation in this fight to fund our schools, to keep our city whole, and to embrace our young people.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Remember to make plans to join us again next week for Conversations with the Citizen, the place where real